Hello, and welcome to the Physical Therapy Owners Club. I'm your host, Nathan Shields, and today I'm excited to bring on Tracy Repchuk. And Tracy is a marketing expert, and I've met her a couple times in the past, and I've seen the work that she's done. And especially at this time during the coronavirus crisis, I think it's important to recognize the importance of the marketing that we're doing to sustain our clientele and stay in communication with them. So I thought it'd be important to bring her on. Tracy, hey, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Nathan, for having me. I'm really excited to be sharing, what's happening out there.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks like, if anyone is watching this on our video, we're both enjoying the beach and having a great time during this coronavirus lockdown thing. So, and so if you could just let us know a little bit about you, what you've been doing here over the past little while, and also what you're doing nowadays to help private practice owners with their marketing efforts.
All right. Yeah. If we go back so that people have a little image of me, I started a software company at the age of 19 in 1985. So I've
Oh,
actually
wow.
been in technology and in marketing my entire life, really.
Yeah.
In 1994, before it was even the internet, that's when I was doing development for banks, the JCPenney, Walmart, the lottery corporation, and large corporations, because they didn't really know what this was.
Oh,
I just knew when I saw it that it was the future, that
okay.
everything was becoming this.
Hmm.
So I was an extremely early adopter. In 2006, I went all in on internet marketing and absolutely, exploded. I moved from Toronto, Canada to California, because I knew this is where the market was at that time. It had not been accepted yet in Canada, and so it's interesting though, because this is an example. What we're going through right now, in a way, was going to happen, right? It just, the virus accelerated it. Is what ended up happening. We were all going to be online in some bigger way.
Hmm.
It just rushed it by 5 or 10 years, and so
Yeah.
it's turned into a disruptor.
Yeah.
Uber and Lyft was a disruptor for taxis. Redbox and Netflix, blew away Blockbuster, right?
Yeah.
The internet in 1994. By time 2000 came around, those that did not adapt to the new technologies, clung to the yellow pages, they perished. They're gone, right?
Yeah.
And normally, though, this type of thing has been localized or niche specific. And in this
Yeah.
case, of course, it's global. It's a planetary reboot.
Wow.
The world will be new. You're going to need to adapt rapidly. And really, so that's, my excitement, quite frankly, because everything I have been trained for is happening, and what I can do for companies, restaurant, retail, of course, physical therapists, chiropractors, yoga, Pilates, anyone with a physical location. It's time to take a look at where to go. And I've been talking about what you do and where you go for 12 years now. And so we're ripe and ready
Yeah.
to move into this new era.
Well, it's interesting because I like to say that this shouldn't necessarily be a pause for a lot of the business owners out there, but rather a reset, and
Hmm.
consider what you've done in the past and what you need to do differently in the future. Because if your business is the same coming out of this as it was going into it, then you've not taken advantage of the opportunity. And I don't know how well you'll survive going forward. So I think it's a great message to share, like you're talking about, for physical therapy owners to consider how they can take advantage of telehealth services, how they can sell their services on digital platforms and social media
Hmm.
platforms. And so I think there's a lot of effort that should be looked into putting our businesses more digital and not rely on the brick and mortar. That's kind of hard because as physical therapists, we want to be so manually engaged,
Right.
but we have to recognize that there is a market out there for the other things, and we can take advantage of it, frankly.
Exactly. Well, what's interesting is one of my specialties is to systemize, streamline, and scale. Now, when you have a brick and mortar environment and only have a brick and mortar environment, scaling often involves high costs and expense as
That's
well,
true.
right?
Yeah.
And you're carrying huge debt loads.
Mm-hmm.
The beautiful part, I'll say, about what is occurring right now is we can add all of the technologies that exist for us to leverage. We can build a more systemized and streamlined infrastructure online, and that's going to help you scale and, of course, make more money without necessarily adding buildings or offices unless you want to. It's great when that is a choice and not the only route, so that you can figure out what do you want to do and how do you want to make money going forward and how do you expand. And to me, I know it's an extremely exciting time because it's making companies think out of the box. And
Yeah.
what I love about, physical therapists, of course, is you were, built for help, right? You want to
Yeah.
help people. You want to make sure that they understand how they can repair injury or how they can get, more mobility, especially without drugs, right?
Yeah.
It's the savior of the planet from what's happening right now. And so two things the online environment can give us, and that's one is exposure.
Yeah.
Instead of us just having that message localized office by office by office, man, when the entire PT industry or people, start to shout it from the rooftops, what you do, because it's a very ambiguous thing, quite frankly, and people think it's so specialized that it's not for them.
Mm.
I came into the physical therapy world when my mom had a huge incident that resulted in her entire back crumbling. She
Oh,
had the entire thing repaired with pins and rods
wow.
and through numerous surgeries, and then ended up in the hospital for 7 months doing physical therapy, during which time I stayed and assisted her. So hence the beautiful part that I had an online business and could do that, had that
Mm-hmm.
gift of time. But the other part was, man, what a respect I built for what you did.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my passion became, man, I need to get out the message about, what you do.
Yeah.
And that's where I entered into the physical therapy arena and started to help, physical therapists to move online. And this is what we've been doing. But now it's like, game's over. Get on now.
Well, I like two of the points that you brought up, and that is number one, that, you know, spreading your message, or at least, relying on the office space to grow your business can be much more expensive and time consuming and energy consuming. Whereas if you expand more digitally, it doesn't cost as much to expand and grow. But number two, like you said, we can market directly to consumer if we take advantage of it the right way, and not rely so much on physician referrals, but rather
Right.
go directly to the consumer, because all 50 states have direct access in some form or another at this time. We can bypass the physician referrals and go directly to the consumer and say, hey, if you have an acute injury to your back because you're a weekend
Mm-hmm.
warrior, just come and see us.
Right.
For some reason, chiropractors are able to get that message out, but physical therapy hasn't been able to do that. But if we work together as a group after this
Yep.
crisis, well, during and after this crisis, we can get that
Yep.
message out via social media, through
Yep.
digital marketing, what you have it, and really help people understand that, you don't have to go to see a doctor to see us. You don't have to have gone through a surgery to see us. We
Right.
can see you right now. And that's a message that you can get out even now for those people who
Mm-hmm.
aren't affected by the virus, and
Mm-hmm.
then sustained as we ramp back up.
Exactly. That's right. And to me, this is part and parcel of a combination of how do you get people, no longer addicted to opioids,
Mm-hmm.
by spreading the message that there is an alternative. You can
Yes.
get natural-based therapies, which
Yeah,
most people are not aware of. And
that's
and
true.
this is the reason that drug abuse and prescription drug abuse in particular happens, because people don't know, oh my goodness, if I go get adjustments or if I go do this, or get a correction on an injury.
Yeah.
I don't need to be in that pain. And of course, the biggest problem is when they choose that, the alternative route is they don't end up out of pain. All they end up is masking it, and it never gets repaired.
That's right.
So, it's just so important. I think, honestly, this is the greatest catalyst for the PT industry, and my other passion is nutrition response testing. Again, anything that deals with making the world a better place and helping a person to get healthier without any introduction of alternative elements other than your own body telling you how to heal.
Yeah. I like how you brought that up, because it made me think of two things. Before my interview with you, I thought this is going to be good for our profession in that it's going to force our hand into telehealth services, and our profession's not going to be changed. Well, it is going to be changed forever because of that. We've been forced into some telehealth services to a greater extent than we were before. But like you said, number two, this is going to force us to get our message out digitally, that I think physical therapy owners in general are behind the curve when it comes to modern technology use and social media use. And some people have done it very well, but I would go out on a limb, and I don't think it's a very big limb, or I think it's a pretty big limb, in that I don't think we've used it to our capabilities to really push the message that we can see you directly, that your acute issues can come to us directly, that we can see you without a doctor's referral, that are forcing our hand in direct to consumer marketing. And I don't think I really realized that before talking to you today. I did regarding the telehealth, but now as I'm talking to you, it's going to force the physical therapy owner's hand to be more aware of their direct to consumer / digital approach. And so as you're working with somebody, where do you start? Do you start with the website? Do you start with their Facebook account or their Instagram, or all of the above? Where do you start initially?
Right. Well, I'll tell you where I normally start, and then I'm going to tell you the COVID-19 start.
Oh, okay.
Normally I start, and it's a really important piece, and I've been talking about that again for 12 years, and that is with the landing page and the list building.
Okay.
We need to really focus on accumulating the database, because that is going to be your greatest asset. And it's also the reason that it's important is, as you're now going to expand through social media, we don't want to expand through social media unless we have somewhere to send them, right? And it has to be the landing page. We have to be list building. So then now we can do email marketing. And why is that important? It still has the highest return on investment. And it is the way that I'm advising current clients right now, is to get emails out to your database, and triple your communication to them, just so they feel heard, taken care of. They're in worry as well, especially if they do have injuries. They know they should be doing something, and they feel like they can't. So it's just one of the original technologies that has to become a stable and should have been years ago. The other reason I love landing page technology, especially for PTs, is now we can create what we call the lead magnet, right? And this gift, which I've been creating for many physical therapists now, this gift is an educational tool, and that's what they need, right? The 5 ways to get off of opioids, or the 5 best strategies for pain reduction of your back, your knee. What about so we pick the target market, we create an asset to give. And the beautiful part about where we have gone right now is all of that marketing at that time was kept local. So you can grow at a certain rate. There's only so many people that might need you. Now, with the introduction of this global pandemic and the fact that we should be out in a bigger way, now it doesn't have to be local. It's great when it's local, and I do a lot of strategies to focus on that. But the bigger picture is, the more people that have this gift or guide in their hand and the content in their hand, the more people will understand what physical therapy as a whole is. To me, this is how we elevate the entire industry at the same time as you're moving yourself into a position of leadership and authority because you're the one, delivering
Yeah,
this information.
sure.
And then we add the fuel, which is social media. So
Mm,
now we start on, Instagram, and then we start on Facebook. We create a community in Facebook. So now what I love about Facebook is it is the platform for community building. So you can become a leader, not only in your community, which is wonderful,
yeah.
but overall for maybe a specific thing you deal with. I have, physical therapists, some focus on sports injuries, some focus on back injuries. If you have a specific niche, then you can build an entire platform around that and
Mm,
attract all sorts of people. There's how many 2 billion people on Facebook.
yeah,
There's your there's your entire market, right?
yeah.
You have so many people to draw from, and this is how we're going to really educate. So normally I say, let's get the landing page and list building in place. What I'm saying to people now is we need to get the Zoom technology in. We
Hmm.
need to get you in front of it, and we need to have you doing Facebook Lives, and we need to start talking telehealth.
Mm,
And so both of these pieces have to get in rapidly so cash flow continues,
yeah.
and so that you become the stable datum in your marketplace as that person of authority that says, hey, welcome everybody. I understand, and originally you're just talking to people that are in your community. But as you grow and as you start to do more Facebook Lives, you can say, hey, next week, you know what, we're going to be talking about, how to remove or eliminate a back pain that you have from sitting too much, right?
Hmm.
And you can start joking with things, and we're going to help you today with your Netflix knee. I don't care what you're talking about, right? Don't be afraid to connect it to
Yeah,
what most people are ending up doing right now,
yeah.
and really just start to outflow, outflow, outflow. And the beautiful part is if we do this in conjunction with the landing page, we're database list building at the same
Mm,
time.
hmm.
I have literally, even not just for my clients, but for myself, have quadrupled my outflow. I've been
Wow.
doing a Facebook Live almost every single day since we were put into lockdown and quarantine,
Wow.
and my numbers have exploded. And that's what can happen for every business that turns around and does this.
Yeah, I've been really pushing my clients and my audience to make sure that their promotion and marketing doesn't suffer and decrease. That's the last expense line you want to get rid of. But I like how
Right?
you're saying, at this point where you are, you would typically have them go through a landing page process and develop that all out. But, it's time to move fast and quick. So the best way to do that is to get onto the social media, develop your community. And when you say list building, you're meaning collecting email addresses essentially, right? And
Yeah,
then,
exactly.
yeah, and then, probably the quickest way to do that is to create that Facebook page and then go, or the community, and then you should have a list of past patients that you can invite to it. You
That's
can
right.
you can maybe boost the page or something like that if you want to,
Hmm.
but develop that immediately with your past patient email list, that database to begin with, and then build on that by inviting more
Hmm.
and more people and get the message out, create more data or more content, if you will, and start developing more and more lists. And so I think
Yeah,
that's a way that you can immediately start building up that list of subscribers, right?
exactly. And then here's the cool part. As you do a Facebook Live, especially if it's content driven, you're going to talk today about the knee, the back, the shoulder, whatever, right? Now you have content, right? The average Facebook Live, let's say it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you can break that apart into over 200 pieces of content. But
Yeah.
even if we only do one thing, and that one thing is to take the whole video and move it into YouTube, as we talked a little bit about that earlier. If
Yeah.
you just move it into YouTube and you do the necessary keyword optimization, here's the reality of YouTube. All videos in the world aren't going to be found if you do not search engine optimize with
Mm,
keywords, right? So it's a critical and key part. It's exactly what I've been doing with my clients lately. All we're doing right now is taking the content to YouTube and we're keywording it, and then we're, in general, I'm getting on page 1 of YouTube for searches in the top 4 spots when it's properly keyworded right off the bat.
Wow, that's
So
cool.
there is no loss, right,
Mm-hmm.
in that content. So let's say you did a Facebook Live and you're like, oh man, nobody was there. No worries. One, it's going to replay on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Facebook loves Facebook Lives. It's going to continue to replay it for you. And then we're going to take it, and now we're going to really build an asset from that. And if that content is, we can pare it down even smaller, you can start thinking membership site. You can start thinking added value for clients. That's what we're doing with one of my clients I was talking earlier with you, which is Pilates studio,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, tell
She
us.
was about to, when we were shut down in California and she was shut down, she was like, how on earth do I pay my rent, pay my mortgage? She had I think it was 8 staff. The rent on her studio was enormous. And for some of the PTs, you're in the same boat. You have equipment, you have studios, and you have staff, right?
Yeah.
Well, really, we went into crisis management at that point, and that is, how can we get money in this studio? And the immediate answer was, get a Zoom camera in front of her and build out the website so that she could take classes, take money for classes immediately. We were recording those classes by Zoom. They were going out there, and then we were taking that same class, putting it into a replay page as an added bonus for purchasers, and then we were taking that class and putting it into a membership site. So now as people go through, they can buy a week class, they can buy a 1-month class, and they can buy access to the membership, which means they get access to every replay on on Pilates in this situation.
Wow.
Well, it has exploded. I mean,
Wow.
she went from oh my God, how am I going to live, to 1 week later, I think she had 65 people going through her classes, which was more than the physical studio because of the volume you can deliver to in that situation. And so it's great when you, one, know that you have the technology to help somebody in that situation, but two, that you can see somebody who was, extremely distraught. And I'm sure there's many people out there like that this technology will work for you. We just have to think out of the box on how.
Yeah, and so how does that cross over to physical therapists? What could they do? What kind of content do you recommend they come up with that can grow that kind of growth, if you will, or accelerate maybe their digital presence or their online content, or what can they do?
Yeah, well, I mean, we have physical therapists right now that, of course, are leveraging Zoom for telehealth. They're leveraging Zoom for Facebook Lives.
Okay.
And so at first, your Facebook Lives are actually targeted at your current database. And they're like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what the office looks like. But after that, you want to start taking a look at what is a niche you can talk about. Okay. If you want to go, generally to make money, you need to go 9 miles deep and, and an inch wide.
Yeah.
So, you'll come out as a physical therapist, and let's say you specialize in athletic rehab. Let's say you specialize in back or sports or shoulder or golf or whatever it is. If you have that particular niche, I would start to talk about that. And that's how you're going to attract, not just your PT client base, which of course you've already moved into there. Yeah. But now you're going to attract those people that are interested in that particular topic. And how you do that is not just through Facebook Lives. You'll set up events, because events on Facebook get promoted, right?
Oh, okay.
And so if somebody sees, hey, here's an event coming up on Facebook, and it's on, the 3 tips to increase your running speed, right? Great. I want to know that, and so then the PT can talk about that. So in the beginning, that is a lot of outflow without monetary income, except for the telehealth. Yeah. But what I like about that is the power of positioning and the power of educating on what physical therapy is. Plus now, as the people start to follow you and you get whatever, 40, 60, 100, 200 followers on Facebook in your community, all you have to do at that point is say, hey, what if I, and I always pilot everything before we build it. What if I opened up a community, a membership, and you guys paid $47 a month, and I would continue to do education and assessments, whatever you want to put in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who is interested, and if you get 10 people that say, I would like that, I think that's great. And I always do it based on 10. If you get 10 people that say yes, then you start to build. And honestly, the build starts simple. You don't have to fill it with 52 months of content.
Yeah.
You're going to be building the content as they're in it. So they're going to pay you to build the content. Then the next guys, this is where the social media really starts to come into play. Because before, more social media, more followers, we couldn't capitalize on monetization at that point yet. But we sure can when we have a membership site built. And now we can funnel them in through that and really start to build up a community of people that want a result. Better running, better golf, better whatever, better health, better, out of pain, whatever it is that their goal is, this is what your membership community will start to focus on. And then, and the alternative to that is building just a course. You want to just build a 5-module course on that. Whatever route you choose, the beauty is it's so scalable, so sellable, and evergreen, which means Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and more content to drive to this marketing, media that you're building, is the ability to create 6 figures without any extra cost to whether it be your office infrastructure or more staff. It's been what I call a plan B. And a plan B means if you were pulled out of the workplace, if you had to go take care of your parents, like what happened to me, or if you were, had to take care of a family member, whatever, if you had to stop today, would it be sustainable?
Yeah.
And with that infrastructure of a digital environment in place, the answer is yes. And so if we build this now and rapidly, and something like this occurs again, it's occurred how many times now? At least 7. I was in Toronto during SARS. SARS was similar to this, only it wasn't a global pandemic. It was in Toronto. We were the ones that were shut down and into lockdown. So my business already went through a year of what we're going through right now. And so I knew, and I did at the same time, made these assessments, and that's why I have so much experience on how the heck do you go digital, because I needed plan B way back then. And that's when I started talking about it. So it's time to get plan B in place. And I love to help people do that.
Well, yeah. And my biggest issue has always been creating content. I'm not one that can just like spin out content. Is that something that we would expect out of you or any marketing specialists that we hire on at this time?
No, and you don't need us to create the content. You need us to take that video, SEO it in YouTube, and then build the membership site, put the video in the membership site, maintain the infrastructure, the communications, and the email marketing, right? You have the PT knowledge that already your marketplace is waiting for. And all you do is like 7 bullet points before you start talking, and you already know what you're going to say. And there is the training, that you're giving them within the membership site. There is no need to get nervous about the content you're going to give, or whether you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You can demonstrate things on a doll, whatever it is you got to do to show somebody how to do something that can help them with whatever outcome that they're looking for. And the knowledge is all in you. The marketing and technology is not, and that is the piece we handle.
There you go. And it seems like it goes without saying that you're really pushing video over written or anything, a blog or anything like that.
Yes.
Video.
Video. It is the 2020 and beyond blowout right now.
Okay.
More video is consumed, and uploaded than in the last 30 years of all three major networks. And that's
Wow.
consumed, and so all search is coming pretty much through the video line. People are even bypassing Google now because they don't want to read. They want to watch a video because 5 billion people are now watching on their phone and consuming content, and reading is a pain in the butt on the phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, we of course are media watching junkies, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime. That's what's happening right now. And so media is key. And of course, the good video combined with what Google is looking for and what the what the YouTube search engine is looking for, which is keywords, is your secret sauce. That's where you're going to punch to the top for everything someone's looking for. And then that's it. Once you've done that, you can start to, of course, embed selling in your videos that are on YouTube by saying things like, go to my landing page, go to my channel, go here, so everything. There's a circular way of optimizing every piece of content you produce, and then, of course, driving them ultimately to a membership or a course.
Oh, okay. And is there, not to get too much into the details in regards to video, but is there a time frame, a certain amount of time that is optimal, like a 15-minute video versus a 30-minute video? And like backgrounds like this, does that matter too much? I'm just wondering about any details that you recommend if someone is to post a video on social media.
Well, it depends on which social media platform, right?
Oh, okay.
So if we keep it, right, because on Facebook, they actually like longer the better, right?
Oh, okay.
That's how you can get more people watching, because you're constantly going to be fed through, through the news feed while you're still on. If you're a blip on the news feed and you're off, that was it. That was your shot, right?
Oh, okay.
So longer is better on Facebook Live. Let's say you're doing what we'll call a training video on YouTube. Again, because we're going to take that content, let's say you did a 30-minute is just fine on YouTube. The average person is consuming 40 minutes at a time on the YouTube platform.
Really?
And this is only going to go up during this time. That was before. So we know on average we can do a 40-minute. My videos are 40-minute. YouTube wants over 10. If you have a quickie tip, then that's 3 to 5 minutes. Something really fast. Let's say somebody had a headache, and you're like, okay, how to get rid of your headache in 2 minutes, right?
Yes.
That could be a video. Great. Well, you touch here and you do this and you put whatever, you guys know. I just know how to translate it so someone pays for it.
Oh, okay.
And so it all depends on what you're doing. But to me, most of mine are longer and highly consumed from that perspective. And so, and then you got content, right? And then what do? Now we take that video and we embed it in a blog post. We're hitting another platform. Then we do an Instagram on it. Then we do a LinkedIn on it. Then we do a Facebook promo on it.
Yeah.
It's a constant circle of leveraging content that you've already created and making sure that it can get consumed wherever your person might be. Because just because LinkedIn is B2B doesn't mean there's a lot of people in corporate suffering from physical therapy needs.
That's right. That's right.
And so it's very interesting. And same with Instagram. Even though that's the younger platform, doesn't mean that a millennial who's been jogging or playing tennis or whatever doesn't need a physical therapist. And so that's the beauty about what you do is cross-platform promotion needs to happen so we can find the sweet spot. And then once we know it, that's where the fuel pours in that area.
Yeah. And that's why I'm glad there are people like you out there, because like doing all of that blows my mind. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to put in all the keywords. I just want to like
Yeah.
do my thing and then give it to someone to work with, and either that person's on your staff or you hire it out to someone like you who's a
Hmm.
specialist at it. And I'm sure
Yeah.
you're the dollar put into you will go a lot further than having someone in house do it unless they are super expert.
Yeah, that's right. Now, and so there's the other thing. Let's say you had what I will call a social media person on staff, right?
Mhm.
You know, here's we can work with people like that
Oh,
because
okay.
what they're often missing is strategy. They
Yeah.
don't. They're just like, oh, I'll just do this, or this is a cute post today.
Oh, okay.
You know, we're watching trends, right? We have to know what all the trending keywords are, what all the trending hashtags are, and we need to make sure that all posts optimize, you know, 5 different sets of hashtags for everything that's going on, and they just may not know that, but when they're taught that, then they're like, okay, I understand what I need to do, and that helps the office as well.
Mm,
So for those of you who do have staff but perhaps they just need a little more guidance, you know, that's where we often come in. We teach them specifically on what they're doing to help you, and then we move either to another part of the company or you don't need us anymore, whichever happens.
that's good to know. Yeah, because a lot of times you lean on that social media person to be your strategist when maybe they're
Right.
just saying, "Oh, here's a cute video. I think I'll post that," or "Here's a recipe that I think our audience might
Yep.
like. And we'll post that." And it's just kind of what anything that we put out there is okay mentality instead of being strategic and focused in the content that they produce.
Exactly. And that goes to part and parcel of increasing your conversions, increasing your brand, and your elevation of authority and influence comes strictly from the strategy that goes behind a post.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Cool. Well, if people wanted to get in touch with you and see what you provide and how you can help them, how would they do that?
Well, there's 2 ways. You can check me out at tracyrepchuk.com. You can check any social media platform with /Tracy Repchuk, or you can take a look at my what we'll call the funnel, what I want you to have, right? My landing page,
Okay.
which is fastactionresults.com, and
Hmm.
you'll see the process. You know, I bring
Okay.
people in, I give you a gift, and at that point, you know, if you need to schedule a strategy call, so I can take a look at what you got, where you're bleeding, and how we can, you know, help repair it, then that can happen immediately. You just click and schedule.
That's fastactionresults.com.
Yes.
And Repchuk is Repchuk.
CHUK.
Okay, no C in there.
Exactly.
Okay,
REPCHUK and TRACY,
no
since there's
E.
probably about 10 ways to do that.
That's right. So tracyrepchuk.com. Well, again,
Yeah.
thank you for your time. Is there anything else you want to share with the audience before we break up here?
I think the thing I would share as a final note is you need to market and promote more than you ever have. You said it at the beginning, Nathan, in that this is not a time to shrink. This is not a time to go into survival mode or hunker down. You have to do the opposite of what everyone else is doing so
Hmm.
that you're the one that rises to the top and becomes, you know, the cream right now. And the only way to do it is to get out there bigger than you ever thought you would.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe a lot of mart owners have time now if they have slowed down and or shut down. If you've got
Yep,
time, now's the time to maybe consider your digital presence and that strategy a lot
exactly.
more.
Yep,
Great.
I agree.
Cool. Well, thank you again so much for your time today, Tracy. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Nathan. It's been great.